Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live, SOMM Moro, and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn live video feed, the link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guest is composer and conductor Nimrod Borenstein, whose new album, Shakespeare Songs, Mandolin Concerto, and Oboe Concerto, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Nimrod.
Thank you.
Nimrod,
Good afternoon.
So tell us a little bit about where you come from, how your musical tastes were formed, and the moment you decided to become a composer-conductor.
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because I can't remember. I've always been a musician. So apparently, according to my parents, I decided that I wanted to be a musician when I was 3 years old after going to a concert. But of course, I can't remember. Composer is a bit different. I started by wanting to really be a musician, but I started to compose when I was 6 years old. So even the composing part, I can't remember when it happened. And I don't really like the word career, because it assumes that I think for me, career is something that you do to earn a living. And, you know, as a composer, I've been doing various things when I was young. I had less of a career. I've been teaching. I've been doing all sorts of things to earn a living. But for me, composing or being a musician is a mission. It's like it's love. Sort of like explain why you love your wife. It's not a good question. It's something that is overwhelming, and that I think it's important, and it's important to me specifically.
Okay, and any music influences in particular?
Yes, so that's a good question. I started by really loving the classic composers, sort of Bach, Mozart, Beethoven. And I think it's really important if you want, because to be a composer, you've got to write something that is totally new. So the influences are more about quality than about writing something that sounds like Beethoven. But you take these absolute geniuses and I live with them for all my life. As a direct influence, as a living influence, I would say it was my father, because he's a great artist. He was also a child prodigy. He did great big paintings, oil painting, when he was 6 years old. And I had this discussion with him from when I was a child, and I had questions, and we have continued that to adult age. My dad is over 80, and he still paints and does exhibitions and write books, and we discuss, and we don't always agree, but we have to motivate our. It was always an intellectual discussion. That's not just about you like that or that's how I feel. You have to give a reason and try. He was my mentor. And it still is, but I think now I'm an old man, so older, let's say.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next track. This is Concerto for Mandolin and Orchestra, Opus 97, Allegro. What fun music to play. It sounds like you guys must have had a really good time making that recording, such lively music. Tell us, what's the story behind this album, Shakespeare Songs, Mandolin Concerto, and Oboe Concerto? We normally hear about an album of just songs or just concerti. There's a little bit of everything, and including oboe and mandolin. Normally we hear piano concerto, violin concerto.
Well, piano concerto was my previous city, so not far. But what all these pieces have in common, that they have, if you look at the opus number, so it's 97, 99, 101, it's almost one work after the other. So it was works written during a period of a year and a half. I think that that's what they've got in common. And also, there are three type of concertos, even sort of the voice, the five sonnets, they are like a concerto for voice and orchestra, using or a symphony for voice and orchestra with 5 movements, each sonnet being a movement. So it's an album about a soloist and orchestra. And I think that for me, the fact that it was all written during the same period is important, and it's nice to be able to record works almost immediately. I mean, a year after they are written. Also, it was the start of my collaboration with the English Chamber Orchestra, and that's our sort of. It was a suggestion from them. We had such a good vibe. We created first the Shakespeare Songs, and then things leads to another things, and we thought, let's make an album. We thought first, let's record the concert. And then they say, no, maybe we should do more. And that's the story.
That's fantastic. Let's listen to our next track. This is one of the Shakespeare songs. This is When My Love Swears That She Is Made of Truth.
When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies, that she might think me some untutored youth, unlearned in the world's false subtleties, thus vainly thinking that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best. Simply I credit her false-speaking tongue. Besides those his simple truths are past. But rather say she not, she is unjust, and whether say not I, that I am right, or whether say not I, that I am good.
So how did you pick the musicians to this to perform this? That sounds fantastic. The singer's lovely. Mandolin, we haven't heard the oboe yet. So what's yeah, how did you get this, decide, okay, the English Chamber Orchestra, I want to work with these people. What do you look for in a musician?
For me, actually, both the oboist and the mandolinist, they chose me because they commissioned the work and they really like my music, so they wanted to have their own. It's like you like a jumper and you have a jumper made for you, especially. But I mean, maybe not exactly the same. But for myself, I think that the most important thing is your inner world. So I look for musicians that have got a lot to say, because everything else, technique, can be acquired if there is, again, it's coming back to love, to sort of something that is very strong within oneself that you want to communicate. And so both, I mean, you can hear the three soloists in this city. There are people with strong personality that have a lot to say. And that's what, they're exciting people. Like-minded, I am like that myself. I'm full of energy and I feel things strongly, and that's what I look for performers. That in my music, there are big contrasts of atmosphere. Sometimes the music is really sad, and sometimes it becomes very happy or big. And so to communicate that, you need to have that within yourself. Otherwise, so you have people that are extremely good at what they do, but they are just serious. And there is a part of it, I mean, you've seen in the Shakespeare song that Shakespeare is like that himself. That you got, well, there's humor in there, and it can be very dark, but it can be also light. So I need performers that have these qualities. And usually, you know, in artists, what they communicate is what they are in real life. So you. To have this sort of lightness, you need to be a person that has got that in the day-to-day life, and also the seriousness and the darkness, and I would say is also part of who you are. So I'm looking for that. There are fantastic people. I mean, like you enjoyed the mandolinist is out of this world. Same for the oboist and the singer. So it was. I mean, it's you know, making music. It's never easy because you are looking for perfection, and especially when you record music and you want to leave it. And I mean, now, so imagine that Beethoven could record his music and leave it for the future. So I feel like that myself. That in a way, if I record a CD myself, people are going to look at it and think, well, that's what he wanted. So it might as well be good. You know, in music, it needs to be exactly what I want. So, but I mean, I couldn't wish for a better performance than the English Chamber Orchestra. It's been a dream from when I was a child. I listened to their recordings. I mean, you know, sort of, you probably know the recordings of 30, 40 years ago, where they did all these beautiful recordings with Perlman and Barenboim and Jacqueline Dupré and these amazing recordings. And so, well, they've not changed. They're an amazing group.
And how do you explain to other people when you hear a musician and you know this person has a lot to say? Because when people normally we think of a comedian, okay, the comedian makes us laugh. The serious theater performer makes us cry. How do you explain when a musician has a lot to say? How do they make us feel?
I think that it's a good question. It's like an actor. You know, an actor that plays Hamlet on stage is not that he's good at clever at thinking what he should be, is that when he is on stage, he is a Hamlet. And a musician, a good musician, is someone that when he plays the music is not outside of music thinking, okay, I need to make this note sound sad. It's when you play the note, you are really sad. You feel the music, and it seems obvious, but not many people can. A lot of people are outside of the music. They can appreciate it, but they can't live it. It's and you have, as a performer, you have to really be that person, be that emotion as it happens. Like sometimes, you know, when I explain, I had many years ago, we had a rehearsal with a string quartet, and they were playing a passage, and it was not really, I was not convinced. And I said, well, imagine that your grandmother just died, and that you have a mix of emotions of anger, but also sadness and all these emotions. Of course, when I wrote the piece, I didn't think about that. But when I saw that they didn't catch the feel, I thought, what could be close to that type of feel? And when I say this example, straight away they played it right. Because in a way, the notes, they carry a very clear message of what's the atmosphere. More than for words, you would probably need to write 10 pages or even a book, an entire book that gives you an atmosphere. Music is capable of doing that with a few notes, and you're straight in there. And the performer role is to communicate that and to not go against it or not be outside, not be an outsider, just leave it.
Okay, let's have a listen to our next track. This is a mandolin concerto, first movement, moderato. And this brings us to the philosophical part of our conversation. According to the liner notes, you declare, quote, "This album celebrates the powerful and dynamic relationship between soloist and orchestra. I find this form endlessly inspiring, where both the soloist and the orchestra hold equal importance, each enhancing the other. I would add to this that having a single instrument or voice facing a full orchestra gives the form an epic, almost theatrical quality. It can become a moment of confession or of confrontation, a personal voice rising against or carried by a collective force." End quote. What is the difference, Nimrod, between a theater drama and a music drama without words, as in the concerti? How can one understand the story being told? In other words, without you telling, okay, well, think about the passing of your grandmother.
Yes, but it's like in music, you've got the differences of phrases that are short and then that are long. So you take, we just heard the movement of my Mandolin concerto. There was one passage where there was a build-up of the orchestra doing and then the mandolin comes. So you could say that the first fret is like someone saying, it doesn't matter what you say. Let's say we went to this house, and then sort of second phrase repeats the same thing but higher. It's like saying this house was dark, and then so it's like taking the second part of the phrase that was dark, saying dark and cold, and we didn't know what and then but I could almost do that type of story with any music that construct. For example, I'll give you another example, but not from my music. Bach. Take A minor violin concerto that starts pam 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 pa da 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 dum pam. It's like two short phrase that leads to a third one that is a conclusion. So it's like saying, I bought some cheese, pam pam. I bought some bread, pam pam. And as a conclusion, I'm going to have a nice meal, pam pa da 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 pam. But let's admit, and whatever you do, the structure will always be that. But let's say that you don't like cheese and you don't like bread, so you can do the same structure, but the third part will be lighter, pam 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 pam. Because you are not pleased that you have just cheese and bread. So music is like that. It's the construction is there, so you cannot change where are the points where it explains, like short phrase on conclusion. Some beats are very clear in terms of the atmosphere, what it is, where there's tension and suddenly you feel like you're in sort of imagine like you are in the desert and you are really thirsty and suddenly you come inside a house that got air conditioning or they give you a glass of cold water, this type of feel. But it's not that music tells you a given story. It gives you very clear feelings and also a structure of how it expresses these feelings. I don't compose in that way. For me, music is totally abstract, but I try to find the only way. There was this film many years ago, Amadeus, about Mozart, and where they ask him, one of the princes saying that there are too many notes, and he says there are exactly the right amount of notes. And I've always found, I was 10 when I watched the film, and for me, composing is about that, finding the only way, so that the story feels natural. But to answer your question about the concerto is such an epic form because it's true that you got a full orchestra with more than 40 people, and you got this one person. So you got all sorts of combinations that you can have. You can have the full orchestra, and then suddenly spot on, and there's just one person come out and says something, or it can be suddenly there's nothing and it's just a soloist, and then it's a bit like in theater, Hamlet or soliloquy, or it can be sort of one against each other trying to fight each other. There are all sorts of combinations, but it always feels like, for me, a concerto is an epic form, and there is no point to write a concerto if you're not going to use that characteristic. Because the other way to write, like a symphony, it's different. There is no soloist. There may be solo parts inside, but it's not the same. It's not one person against everybody, and a bit like a confession and but a fight. There's courage in the concerto form. It's quite a virile form, and it's an interesting form. I think that it's one of the most successful forms. It exists for hundreds of years, and it will continue to exist in the same way that whatever you call a symphony is basically few movements that contrast with each other for orchestra. That's what is a symphony. So it's quite when you talk about philosophy, it's quite a general concept, and it's why it can carry on through various composers because it's not linked to a particular style, I think.
Okay, let's have a listen to our final track. This is the Oboe Concerto, second movement, Allegro. Are there any questions? Would anyone like to ask Nimrod anything or jump into this conversation? Okay. So then, final question to me. What do you wish everyone who listens to this album?
You mean how they would feel about it, or what?
Yeah, what you'd like us to take away?
Like in any music that I think in general, I think that you should feel like it's taking you out of the day-to-day world. That whilst you are listening, it's like you've been on holiday to a faraway place, a different galaxy, and on a beautiful one. Something that our world, sort of the day-to-day life that we've got, has got all these problems and is not perfect. We need to accept imperfections and difficulty. But I think that art in general and composition can give you sort of an escape suddenly where things are just beautiful. And that's what I wish people to enjoy it and just discover a new world that didn't exist before.
Okay, let's have a look at seeing how we can get the album. It's on SOMM Recordings.com. That's SOMM Recordings.com with a hyphen in the middle. And you just have to go to search and you type in, if you want, Nimrod Borenstein. And then the album should come. There it is. It comes right up and you can buy it there for £6 to £14. So that is SOMM-recordings.com. And if we'd like to stay in touch with Nimrod, we can do so at nimrod-borenstein.com. And we can reach out to you if we have any questions here, Nimrod.
Yes, absolutely. You've got my email address there. And I'm usually quite quick in answering. I also have a Facebook page, a professional page, and I'm quite active there too. So that I tend to put all my content on various things. I stay in touch with friends on all sorts of things. So Facebook or email are both good.
Excellent.
And I do my utmost to be very quick at replying. If I don't reply within, let's say, 2 or 3 days, it means that somehow the email went to to the wrong box, and then people should write to me again because normally I reply within 1 or 2 days.
Okay, perfect. So again, that's nimrod-borenstein.com and on Facebook, Nimrod Borenstein Composer. Thank you so very much to Nimrod Borenstein.
Thank you very much.
And before we go, I'd like to bring our attention to Vienna Live's website, which is simeonmoro.com, where you can find all information about upcoming shows. And I'd like to bring to your attention that we have a sponsorship campaign going on right now. For $5 a month, you'll receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 a month, you'll receive one Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and one Vienna Live City tote bag. Also, if you go over to One-Time Payment Custom, you can sponsor the program for as much or as little as you'd like. There is no minimum. All sponsorships your ongoing support allow for Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free classical music public service. And coming up next week, we have Gary Eskow, Many Streams, One River. On Many Streams, One River, Gary Eskow traces vivid musical memories across eras and styles. Philip Seltzer and Christopher Johnson bring colored tinges by the late 1960s to Storm Will Come, while Not a Sonata channels Poulenc, Ray Charles, Hollywood romance, and playful Baroque detours. Pianist Nathan Lewis highlights Eskow's range in the atmospheric Sunlight Sonata, the reflective Woodstock Chronicles, and the Chopin-inflected channeling Chopin. The album closes with UPS, a dynamic underscore for voice, percussion, and synclavier. Let's discover the newest chamber music. That's next Wednesday. Gary Eskow, One River, Many Streams. As always, all information is available at www.simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Nimrod Borenstein. Thank you to Vienna Live corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to continue to operate as a free classical music service. Thanks very much to my cousin Mike, our marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. Of course, thanks most of all to you, our participants, who make it all worthwhile. From London, United Kingdom, and Washington, D.C., United States, goodbye, and see you next Wednesday.